What's up, everyone? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and one really important way that you can support our show is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. One of those places where you can subscribe, and we highly encourage it, is on Apple Podcasts. If you visit qpnt.net/Apple Podcasts. You could subscribe to the show and listen to all of the episodes. And please, please, please leave us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And leave us a review. We really want to hear from you, and it helps to spread the word about the show. It's that simple. Thanks so much for tuning into Q Points, and thank you so much for supporting us. Have a great
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Q Points. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, yo?
Yes, y'all, we are back for another episode of Q Points, and I'm so glad that Jay Ray found time in his schedule to join us because he's been popping up all over the place, and we love to see it. Yo, shout out to you for your appearance with Corey on the Podchasers discussion. That was pretty dope.
Yo, man, listen. So one of the things I got the opportunity to do, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. Corey Gums, who founded the Black Podcasters Association,
Yes.
invited me on to come on and talk a bit about Podchaser, which is something that Q Points uses. In fact, you should be leaving us a review on Podchaser, so there's a link in the chat for that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we did a whole training where we did a 101 on Podchaser and had a really good time, Sir Daniel. And so shout out to Corey Gums. Definitely for folks who are listening or joining, please follow the Black Podcast Association at theblackpodcastassociation.com and join the Facebook group. So if you are working in podcasting in any way, shape, or form, and you are Black, you can be a part of this group. And it's a great bunch of resources. So yeah.
Absolutely. And before we get into the meat and the potatoes of tonight's episode, we gotta acknowledge some things again. I'm go ahead and start it off for us.
Yeah. So a lot has been going on. I'm actually going to start with Blackberri first. So got word this week that Blackberri, who is an artist out of the West Coast, singer-songwriter, is currently transitioning. And right over my shoulder, so right there, you'll see, that's Blackberri's Finally album from like 1981. And it's a great funk, rock, soul, country thing. But Blackberri has given a lot of love to the world, and we want to send him love as he is transitioning to the next phase of experience. So shout out to Blackberri.
Thank you for that. We also want to shout out and to acknowledge the passing this morning. I heard Robbie Shakespeare, the bassist and half of the dynamic production duo Sly and Robbie, passed away. I believe, he passed away this morning. The cause is, who really cares what the cause is? Remember when I mentioned on the show how ska ruled the pop music in the 80s?
Yes.
Robbie Shakespeare helped create that luscious island backdrop for some of my favorite artists, and I'm sure some of your favorite artists as well, such as Grace Jones, Gwen Guthrie, Shaka Demus and Pliers. And he gave no doubt a big comeback record with Hey Baby, Hey Baby. So, you know, Robbie Shakespeare, that when you heard that bass slap, that was Robbie Shakespeare.
Yeah.
On-
Sly and Robbie, and just the work of Robbie Shakespeare. That was when I was young, I was really into. I was an MTV kid, and
Mhm.
so you would hear a lot of Sly and Robbie produced stuff,
Yeah.
and I just have to do it. I have to do it now because it's Grace and it's warm
What? Uh,
leatherettes.
Leatherette. See, you got it out your system
I
because
got it
both
out
of
my
us were doing.
system.
We were both doing a whole warm leatherette thing before we came on the air. Because listen, that's Grace Jones was definitely their muse. Like
Absolutely.
when you hear that bass line drop in on "Pull Up to My Bumper," I mean it's on and popping.
Yep.
So our hats off to you, Mr. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
You know, keep slapping that bass in the afterlife and with the
Yeah.
ancestors. We also want to pay respect to Greg Tate, who passed away
Absolutely.
earlier this week. Greg Tate was a pillar of music journalism and the
Hmm.
gold standard of a black culture critique.
Hmm.
He wrote for the Village Voice. He penned several books, including the Flyboy series and Midnight Lightning. Greg Tate was also co-founder of the Black Rock Coalition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a big. So his greatest impact on us here at Q Points, if I can say,
Mhm.
was his ability to encapsulate and analyze and chronicle the art of some of the last century's greatest bodies of work. I mean, that's what we do here
Right.
on Q Points. And J Ray, you thought you Greg
I was
Tate was
like,
in
he
here, like you
produced,
thought he
like
was
he produced the Plantation Lullabies. That didn't happen.
you just
He
knew he was on
just, and I
Plantation
knew he
Level.
was like a producer. Okay, funny story though. So funny story.
Mhm.
Um, Before I tell that story, I do want
Okay.
to you. I want to pick up where you were and just acknowledge the fact of how important the work that Greg Tate was doing, for being able to talk about our culture and music in a way that was richer and deeper than what other journalists were able to do, particularly white journalists.
Yeah.
But so there's a funny story. So one, all the journalist folks that I know have Greg Tate stories. Like
Mhm.
those, Greg Tate touched so many people. It's fun. It's overwhelmingly beautiful watching everybody kind of react to their Greg Tate experience. So
Yeah.
my favorite, oh my goodness, who so I was this was on Twitter and it's now escaping me. But anyway, fun Greg Take story. Some an artist was producing, it's going to come to me who it was producing was performing at CBGB's, and
Mhm.
Greg Tate apparently just walked in with a guitar and his amp plugged in and was just like, "So I'm part of your band now. So what are we doing?" Like apparently that was just
Yeah, they. It's like so. Here's the thing about the moment. There was a moment in time where journalists and musicians. Of course, there was a symbiosis. There was a love hate relationship between musicians and journalists, but within the black music sphere,
Mhm.
it was deeper than that. You
Yeah.
know, you had people that were always constantly on the scene,
Mhm.
like Greg, Danielle. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why they were able to talk about the music in such depth, because people were going out and they were being fans. I think people were being fans first of the music,
Yes.
and then being able to funnel it into a piece of journalism for the rest of us to pick it up and say, oh, okay, this is what this person experienced. Let me see if I can have my own experience with this piece of art.
Yes.
And we don't have that as much anymore. As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, there's a lot of hate.
There's
You know,
a,
a lot of
a
hate
lot
going
of
on.
hate, and you know what, we don't have, by the way, that was Saul Williams who I was thinking of, by the way.
Okay.
Saul Williams, if you go and look at Saul Williams Twitter, he'll have that story up on his Twitter. Brain fart. But I think we're also not able to have that experience as much today, because of the amount of access as well that people have to folks, right? We feel like we know the celebrities that we idolize today because you can like tweet them and they might tweet you back. And so you feel like there's a wall that's not there. Whereas before it was like, no, I'm just going to this show because that album was dope and I want to be out there.
Can I pin something onto what you said? You feel like
Mm-hmm.
we know we said we feel like we know the artist. I
Mm-hmm.
think we feel like we know everything.
Ooh.
We feel like we know everything, and our opinion is what matters most.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the day and age in which we live in. And you're right. Social media gives us access to everybody 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
whereas back then you had to wait
Right.
a month or two for a publication to come out, or for an article to come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but okay, so I'm always looking. If there's a music documentary, I'm
Yes.
probably gonna watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the pleasure over the weekend of just kicking back and watching an HBO um, documentary called The Music Box. No, excuse me. Yes, The Music Box.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an HBO documentary on the critically acclaimed saxophonist Kenny G.
Mm.
And baby, if you're a fan of Kenny G, or you absolutely despise Kenny G, you have got to watch this documentary because I found it enlightening and
Mm-hmm.
entertaining. And you know me, immediately while I was watching, what did I do? I text you. I
Yes.
text you and
Yes.
was like, you have got to watch this.
Yes. And I haven't
Did you
seen
get
it
a
yet.
chance?
I have to go
Okay.
watch it.
Okay.
I didn't watch it yet. It's been
Okay.
so much going on. But I am going to watch it this weekend. But what I'm intrigued by is and as we kind of lead into today's conversation is I remember buying a Kenny G record
Hmm.
and feeling guilty about it. I can't remember which one it was. Because it was one of those, it was when smooth jazz was really like doing the thing. There was like it was Dave Koz and Kenny G. Kenny G
Yeah.
is like the father of all of those cats, right? In so many ways. Actually,
Yes.
really, it's more like, it comes before then. But I remember the feeling of like, oh, can I even like Kenny? Can I like a Kenny G song? Is that
So
okay?
exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
those were one of the points that was brought up during the documentary is, first of all, Kenny G is, the only way I can say it is, he's dumb rich. I
Of
know I sound like
course.
a real hood rat, but he is the most successful jazz instrumentalist of all times. Like
Wow, that's
Songbird,
nuts.
when Songbird came out, that took off
Mm-hmm.
and he never looked back. Like, he is rich, rich. Okay.
Yes.
So, but within the art, within the documentary, there was a moment, and I called it an ether moment, from his biggest critics.
Mm.
And when you watch the documentary, all I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say is pay attention to the Harlem Globetrotters analogy.
Okay.
That 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 part right there,
Mm-hmm.
it was like the instrumental, the ether came on.
Yeah.
You know how the ether comes on, and you're like,
Right. Yeah.
and this guy just starts running down this analogy of Kenny G and the Harlem Globetrotters, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't
Interesting.
want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But so today's topic, we're talking about being on the hate train, and
Yes.
like legit, it's the same thing with like it was kind of like a movement, like how the Disco Sucks movement was a thing. They created a hate train for that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a hate train for Kenny G started, and so
Mm-hmm.
it got me to thinking about the hate trains that we have for some artists within Black music. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, we got to talk about this because there's some people that, I don't know, they blasted off and they had a really hot opening, and the next thing you know, this wave of hate just cascaded and crashed down on them. And I'm not gonna lie, I was on the MC Hammer hate train early. I think the "You Can't
Really.
Touch This" era kind of. I like the Gazelles era
Uh-huh.
Hammer with
Yeah.
the low budget videos of them
Yeah.
dancing in the club. I
Uh-huh.
kind of like that, but then when it got real glossy and pop, Hammer began to lose his favor with the hood, as it were. And quite honestly, Hammer's only crime was being successful.
I firmly agree with that. And as we go to have this conversation, and we kind of talked about this as well, like Hammer, cats is doing what Hammer did. Cats today are doing what Hammer did. You know what I'm saying?
Or want to do what he did.
Or want to do what he did, right? So I can't remember. You Can't Touch This definitely. You Can't Touch This is on the list of songs I never want to hear again. Like, I never want to hear You Can't Touch This again because it was just ubiquitous. It was everywhere. It was just one of those joints. So I definitely think that started that moment. And you had Pray. Like, there was so many damn songs off of that second album. Like, it was so many singles. And it was really pop. And I don't think at that age, at least for me, that I had the appreciation of hip hop up to that point was not crossing over, even though everybody was trying to cross over. The reality was Run DMC had done it 4 years earlier, right? But Hammer went that next step of like full on pop star, which Run DMC didn't really do.
I think to your earlier point about You Can't Touch This being everywhere, I think that's part of the backlash equation is overexposure. Like Hammer, hearing the song 10 times within the hour, yes, you start to say it becomes an earworm and you're like, oh my God, please make it stop. Then when you start seeing commercials for the Addams Family and Hammer is spinning around in big pants and almost kind of, I hate to use the word cooning, but it was like some early form of cooning that was going on with Hammer. And then it's like, okay, as a hip hopper, and you're thinking, okay, I'm a diehard rap fan, I'm a diehard hip hop fan, and all these other hip hop artists are now starting to say he's not hip hop. As a young fan, I'm starting to believe, hey, they're right. They're the real ones, and Hammer is not. So then you do hop on this the hate Hammer train. But so then you think about it, was Hammer's crime being black and successful? Because we kind of have this thing where it's like, oh, you can't, within the black community, it's like, yeah, get big, but don't be real easy about how much you talk about it. Because even today, with Young Dolph, rapper Young Dolph being killed in his neighborhood, that brings up a question of, if you get to a certain level, you're supposed to get out the hood, but Young Dolph refused to do that. So there's a debate around that. So yeah, it's like, what is it a crime being black and successful? And that, to me, that's part of the equation of backlash.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of the equation. You know what's so ironic about us even pondering that question is Hammer was employing so many black people. He lost all of his money because he was employing hundreds of people from his community. And it's like, wow, we should have been applauding this, ability. Because I remember the behind the music that broke it down is like, no, what happened was Hammer was spending so much money. He just had so many people on staff. And these were people that he knew. These were people from Oakland. Like he was employing people. So, at that time, hip hop was still coming up, fighting for it. We were transitioning in that moment into hardcore LA and what they deemed, kind of the real hardcore, what they deemed gangster rap, whatever.
This was pre-Death Row,
This is pre-Death Row, all of that. Yeah. So Hammer is the precursor to that, right? And almost people were, I think, trying to run away from what Hammer was doing. So is it a crime? I think what happened is...
No Sade, by the way.
Right. Is it? I'm not going to do it. I truly think that what happened was he was a product of that moment. And I don't think that we had a full understanding of what hip hop could be. And other people were trying to get put on. And what do? You yank the one who's at the top down so you can take that spot. And I think that's what was happening.
And there was this weird energy around, there's always a weird energy about hypermasculinity, especially within Black community, especially within Black music. And rap music was like a cauldron of hypermasculinity. And here comes Hammer, smiling and dancing in his parachute pants. And people thought he was soft.
He was not soft.
Hammer was not soft. Hammer was probably, there was a picture that was floating around on Twitter, and we talked about this, of Hammer, Suge Knight, Tupac, and Snoop Dogg. And the caption read, "Would you believe that the hardest, most dangerous person in this picture is actually MC Hammer?" And there is a lot of hood folklore around the fact that Hammer was not the dude to mess with. Hammer had them hammers. Like, Hammer was that guy. But, looking at MC Hammer was definitely a textbook course in the media's construction and destruction of an artist. Like, they built him all the way up, and they helped with tearing him down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's I do believe that Hammer deserves a reevaluation, and particularly that first record. That first record snaps with "Turn This Mother Out" and "Let's Get It Started" and all of that. Somebody in Atlanta, I don't know who it was, but they dropped "Turn This Mother Out" in a set, and that joint goes so hard.
The beat hits. Yes, it does.
The beat hits and Hammer's just around, "I'm on fire." You know what I'm saying? Like, it was what it was. And he danced. You go back and watch that video. The brother, this is like, he's dancing for his life.
Him, 357, and the other brother that was dancing with him, it was like an aerobics class on steroids. Like, they were legit and hard. I mean, the Running Man, they were just
hard,
just going hard on that dance. But yes, Hammer, I agree. Hammer really deserves a second glance over and needs to be respected because everybody's talking about circulating the dollar in the Black community and everything now, but our generation did not pay attention to that until it was too late.
Yep.
And so we have to give Hammer his props for what he was trying to do. Hammer, of course, like you said, was making commercials and doing the
cereals and cartoons.
Yeah, that all the artists are trying to do that now. Right. But let's just talk about it. Let's fast forward to 2012 when the Queen of Hip Hop Soul did a little something for Burger King. And you know what? Let's just relive the moment.
We just gonna relive the moment.
Relive the moment and give it to you real quick.
Exciting things are happening at Burger King.
Welcome to Burger King.
What's in those new chicken snack wraps?
What's in the new chicken snack?
What's in the new chicken wraps?
Mary?
Crispy chicken, fresh lettuce, 3 cheeses, fresh rice and wrapped up in a tasty flour tortilla.
Crispy chicken.
The new chicken snack wraps. Come and get it at Burger King.
Yeah, okay. So for me as a Mary fan, I thought this commercial was a key. I thought it was hilarious because it just didn't feel like Mary. It didn't feel like her at all.
It didn't. It was so. I remember this moment. I hope Brody watches this particular episode because it didn't feel like Mary J. Blige. It was like, and I was also in my, why is Mary singing about chicken? I was like, why is she singing about chicken?
It went viral real quick because at this point we're in a viral society.
Yep.
It spread like wildfire, and all the questions, all the think pieces of, is Mary J. Blige, is this kind of thing cooning? Is it being a mammy? She's singing about chicken.
Yeah.
Black people are singing about chicken. But fast forward to 2021, Meg Thee Stallion is probably singing for her Popeyes chicken strips and chicken strip sauce and all, all the hotties out there.
I done had hottie sauce. I done had some hottie sauce. It's sweet and spicy. And first of all, shout out to Keys. So Keys is like, let's get it started is my absolute favorite. It's so hard. Like, they be dancing up in that video. Go play Let's Get It Started, y'all. But Megan is doing her thing. Saweetie had a whole McDonald's line with foods.
I mean, that's all part of what the kids want. Of what everybody wants is they want that brand recognition. They want the money that is associated with those brands. But I think, Mary was treated unfairly about that whole Burger King debacle. And to her point, she later on said that she really didn't feel good about it either. Mm-hmm. And of course, she was, being managed by her then husband, which kind of had something to do with it also. So, right. Yeah, she went on record and said it just was not a good idea. But to your earlier point, Mary is a lesson in recovery.
Absolutely.
But I think it helped that she was Mary.
It helped that she was Mary, and it also helped that Mary just be making joints. Listen, good music, Kanye is a textbook case of this. Music that people enjoy will let folks slide through stuff. It's how we had R. Kelly for as long as we had. R. Kelly should have been in jail. We was stepping in the name of love in 2003. You know what I'm saying? So Mary had quickly figured out, one, owned up to, hey, I don't know that this was such a good idea. Because we had long come out of the singing for restaurant thing. Because remember, Patty and all of them, Patty sang for McDonald's, Vesta and Al Jarreau was scatting for KFC, I think. One of them.
No, Vesta and Al Jarreau was McDonald's. It was Shanice and Shanice was singing for McDonald's too. And it was Ella Fitzgerald. Was it Ella
Fitzgerald? Yes, she scattered.
So yeah, a lot of people sang jingles, right, for their checks. I mean, it's not uncommon, right? But I think again, within the Black community, within Black music lovers, we kind of get irritated. And today with social media, it's like I said before, the only opinion that matters is your opinion. And it seems like that's the only opinion that counts.
Yep.
And unfortunately, a lot of artists buy into their own hype and have these instances of, slip ups on social media. And, the 2010s was a time. Mm-hmm. And Chance the Rapper is an example of somebody who went from being critically acclaimed to just completely bashed.
Completely. Like, that's a really interesting experience too, because if we plot it, it's a weird thing. Chance was bigger before his major label debut. Like, it was his major label debut that helped to torpedo his career, combined with chatting on social media, doing some weird caping. Like, so he's now at that weird point where he's at this persona non grata kind of moment in his career. And isn't as huge as he was. And that was a short period of time. But social media, man, it doesn't take long. Some people are able to fix it. But it doesn't take long for people to kind of be on the wrong side of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, listen, it doesn't help if your fan base is rabid,
right,
and immature at times, or comes off as immature to other people, and posing death threats to people if you speak out of line about an artist. It just got really weird. And within those 2010s, we cannot talk about artists that we love to hate and not speak about Nicki Minaj. And when I bring up Nicki, I'm not saying that the hate was okay, but what we're talking about is how it just developed. Like, Nicki came out, she did all the right things. She had the mixtape scene
Yep.
bubbling. She created her fan base. She built it. She locked them in. She was giving them the music that they wanted. She was grinding. She was hustling. She was popping up on all the appearances, giving bomb verses on other people's records, and pretty much skyrocketed to the top. She was
Yep.
that girl. She was the it girl.
Yep.
But it was just like this moment again. I think when we get to that that level, what is it called? The stratosphere. When
Yeah.
we get to that level, there's something about when you get to that level that I don't know. It happens without fail that the arrows start being shot to you to bring you down. But then again, in the social media era, I think we were privy to a lot more information than we needed. Because if she was an artist that came out prior to the social media era, she would still probably be beloved right now.
I agree. It's crazy looking at this picture. Yeah.
The chicken wing.
The chicken wing. So the thing about Nicki that is incredibly interesting, and in particular in this time, there are a lot of questions about Nicki's association with men who have abused women. Like, there is a lot of questions that have not been accounted for that are placing Nicki, one of the things, it's really one of the things that's kind of placing this Nicki in this moment. Once again, I'm not looking at keys right now. Once again, you also have social media and Nicki's crazy social media time and doing all the right things, right, Sir Daniel? You indicated all those things that Nicki was able to do, but at the time that she was doing them, and this is amazing, she was kind of the only woman at that level. Like, that absolutely needs to be respected. And when other women began to bubble, Nicki would support, but then those relationships would go left, like it seemed instant, like
very instant. And then all of the chatter would come about how, she was difficult to work with. And, that very well could be a misogyny.
Absolutely.
That, she's a woman, she's difficult, and people love to slap that label on other women as well, not just Nicki Minaj, but they just thought, she's difficult. But then we started hearing it from other women.
Yeah.
Then we saw the women in rap, especially a lot of the pioneers, start to rally and start to come to all these different functions together and embrace a lot of the other newer girls. But she was always left out of the equation or left out of the shows. And let's just say it. She took a big hit when Remy Ma came out with Sheether.
Listen, that Sheether, so we were together when that dropped.
We were absolutely together and we were in Tennessee when that dropped. And it was like, oh shoot, what's going on?
It was like, what's going on? What Remy doing? She out? What's she doing?
And it was like, just started blowing up, and we just pulled it up on the Bluetooth, and it was like you heard the ether, and all you heard was F Nicki Minaj, and it was just like, wait a minute, whoa,
are you dumb?
Are you dumb? To Key's point, are you dumb? Are you dumb? So it was just a really bad, a perfect storm for the Nicki Minaj backlash. Did she deserve it? Did she not? I'm not here to say whether she did or she did not, but it happened, and it was textbook. It was like it happened on time. The timeline was perfection. She got to a certain height. She was on national television, beefing with a humongous.
Her and Mariah were like it was crazy. Like, wow, you are beefing with Mariah Carey on American Idol right now.
Who is probably who seemed to be the safest artist on the planet, and why would you beef with the lamb? She
Right.
went. Oh, I think this is where white America stepped in. Is when Nicki Minaj openly criticized Miley Cyrus.
She got up there and did the Miley. It was a lot, yo.
Miley, what's good?
Was Miley what's good? It was a lot happening in that period of time, and I know we're spending a lot of time on Nicki, but so here's my question for you, Sir Daniel.
Okay.
Do you think that Nicki can come back from this? She's having a moment right now. She was just on some Real Housewivesy thing, and people said she was really, really, yeah.
She is cut out for that. She was absolutely enjoyable. Absolutely. I think instances, things like that would do very well for her image, for her character, and to kind of introduce her. There is a whole new generation of rappers, female MCs right now that are being very successful, and part of that is due to Nicki Minaj.
Because of Nicki, like literally, it's I mean, if we really go trace it back, it's like Kim, Nicki. You know what I'm saying? Like it traces back, but Nicki, has she laid out a blueprint for what the new folks should be doing, men and women, quite frankly, because she had the Queen Radio and like all of that stuff. I think there is room in the future for Nicki to be as big as she was. I think there's room for that.
I think absence makes the heart grow fonder. And the fact that she's had a beautiful, cutest little baby boy. She went and had her child, and she's staying away from social media, only being very thoughtful about how she uses social media. And I think that's working in her favor. She's just got to reevaluate how she wants to approach music, if she even needs to do music anymore.
Right.
Because quite frankly, she's at a point where she really doesn't need to do any new music. Right. She's got enough catalog to where she can be a legacy artist and focus on her legacy and perform her legacy hits and, continue making a living. And she's hyphenated. She's actress, business owner. She's got all that stuff. So music really is not the focal point for anybody, really.
Yep.
If you think about it.
I mean, real talk. And let's go back to Hammer. So we dissed Hammer and sent him packing, and you just said it, nail on the head. Music is not for real the bread and butter for none of these big musical artists. Music is not their bread and butter.
Even
it's
the ones that are
else.
just coming out.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are just coming out are trying to, as the kids say, chase a bag and align themselves with a brand and be a brand ambassador more so than a singer, an artist. So, but what they are doing is they are singing that damn national anthem. My God.
Listen, why do these people, Sir Daniel, I blame you. Why are these people coming out here? Why are you letting these people take these national anthem gigs and be crazy? Just getting up there and doing stuff.
So we've pivoted to another subject.
Right.
Come on over to this one. Thank you.
Right.
You gotta. We move fast around here.
Right.
But first of all, artists, a lot of singers are always saying that the national anthem is not an easy song to sing.
Right.
It's really not like a performance song. It's something that you hear in the background. Quite frankly, there have been a handful of artists to just completely smash it. And the only one I'm concerned about, of course, is Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston's national anthem, the reason why it is legendary is because from top to bottom, it is stellar. It is stellar. It was the right time, the right vocalist, the right orchestra. Like, baby, they arranged the heck out of that, and she sang that song.
Do you remember they took that performance off of television and packaged it into a single, like,
and it became a hit.
it became a hit, they used to play it in rotation on radio. That's how much of a stamp Whitney Houston put on the national anthem. Now, and there have been other people to come along to do good jobs. However, I mean, the most latest, of course, is the young man. What does he call himself now?
I think he's called the King of R&B now. Is that him? That's him.
Jacquees, right? Is that him?
Jacquees. That's that baby's name.
Yeah. Shout out to these basketball players for keeping a straight face. I think they learned from that last Fergie situation. You all know what Fergie situation I'm talking about. Yes, indeed.
Can we talk about this? Can we talk about this? So I happen. I'm so
you can't tell her she is not singing her. She's giving me Michelle Pfeiffer on top of the piano and the Fabulous Baker Boys. Look at him. Look at him.
Look at him.
Ooh, what's going on?
So, Sir Daniel, I went back and I listened to this because I hadn't heard it in several years. And I'm like, oh, she's doing like a sexy, jazzy version of the national anthem. Yeah. Why is this happening? Look at LeBron's face. Do you see LeBron?
Right, look at Chance. They're like, everybody's like, what is going on here?
I'm sorry. This was bad. This is bad.
It's very. I'm trying to be sexy with it, and I'm here. What I'm hearing in my head clearly is not translating onto this television right now.
It's like you know how when you sing, there's like that comedy skit when somebody's singing in the shower and they sound amazing in the shower, but it's like what you hear and then it's like what the person outside hears. Look at these look at them poor basketball players. That was bad. This was bad.
I know they were like, please get the camera out of my face because I'm not going to. This is my favorite part right here. Look at it. Look at it. That's me.
They can't contain it.
When you start doing that lip bite, it's over. It's like, oh my God. Big finish.
Big finish.
There's a children's book about that went viral about that was based on Fergie's performance.
Wow, that's hilarious. Yeah. So fun story. We do have one more, y'all, that we're going to talk about. And I have thoughts on this one more, but fun story though. So I was listening to NPR. This is about 2 weeks ago. It was the day before Thanksgiving. And, he's like, didn't she freestyle the lyrics? I can't take keys right now. But
the people in the lyrics, there's a whole thing about remembering the lyrics, but please go ahead.
Right. So was listening to NPR, y'all, and they were talking about leadership. Mm-hmm. And they actually brought up Maurice Cheeks. So this is like 1992. It's Sir Daniel.
No, please.
This is like 1992, and he was head coach. I can't remember where he was coaching then at that time. So anyway, they had hired a this young girl won a contest to sing the national anthem at like a game. So she goes up there to sing the national anthem, and like people often say, you get nervous. The national anthem's hard. You got to remember all this stuff. The little girl froze up and couldn't actually do it. So Maurice Cheeks apparently comes out and helps the little girl sing the national anthem. And so they were talking about how this is a sign of leadership and all that stuff. What I loved about it though was, I'm like, child, how many times did Maurice Cheeks have to hear the national anthem to be able to help this girl sing it? Because I only know the beginning. I know "Oh Say Can You See" by the Dawn's Early Night, and that's it. I don't think I know. I said night. I said night. I meant light. I don't know the rest.
See, now you're going to go viral because you said by the Dawn's Early Night.
By the Dawn's Early Night. That don't even make sense.
I say they stop allowing people or having people try and sing the national anthem. Just do a jazz band version, or just have a band playing it and just let that happen, and let the audience sing along if they want them to. But to me, it's almost like, if you're not really trained in doing it,
Yeah.
like, or a real vocalist like Shaka Khan.
Like Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
You know, I don't dislike. I dislike the national anthem. I think that's ultimately the thing. I think Whitney Houston's version of the national anthem, as you mentioned, is like squarely good. Shaka did a jazzy Shaka version of the national anthem that I was like, I mean, I don't like this. I'm like, I don't like it, but it's Shaka Khan. It's fine.
Yeah. I think with Shaka, whose voice is light years away from Fergie,
Right.
I think I think the similarity is like there's an air of sexiness, and the national anthem is just not a sexy song
At all. At all.
I think that might be the yes, and the jersey dress is popping.
The jersey dress is popping.
But you know, I think trying to lend sexiness and trying to make something like the national anthem modern, and I get it. You want to make this your own. You want to stamp this performance, and a lot of times it just, I don't know. It's really a shake of the dice on that one. It can either go really well or hilariously wrong. And Shaka Khan is definitely that you can either like it or don't like it. It's,
right.
Yeah.
And Carlton just mentions a really good point. You know, I have to go back and revisit it, but he says Marvin's version is one of my favorite next to Whitney's. I have to go back. I remember hearing a bit about hearing Marvin's version, but I can't remember it. I'm going to go back and listen, Carlton, just on that recommendation. Oh, but stop hiring these folks, or people stop taking this gig. I don't know how much they paying you. It ain't worth the ridicule.
It's not worth it. Just the risk alone, it's just not worth it. Was it really a good look? Especially with an artist that really isn't established, or their whole persona is covering people's stuff.
I don't know why Jaquez people said that this was a good idea. I'd be like, no, this is not a good idea. Don't do this.
All exposure is not good exposure.
Oof.
We've seen it. So, wow. That hour went by quickly.
That went by quickly. So listen, y'all, you know what to do. Go ahead and head on over to our website and become a Q Points Insider. We are dropping that information in the chat so that you can do just that. Make sure that you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. We're actually going to bring the reviews in next week because I didn't queue them up this week. We got reviews. And so y'all need to be reviewing us on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser. Carlton is one of those people that has left us a review. Carlton, we appreciate you and we are so grateful that you did that for us. But yeah, you can review us and follow us on Podchaser and on Apple Podcasts, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well.
Absolutely. And I just want to make a quick announcement. If you are here in the Atlanta area on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 11th, I'm linking up with my Wax Fundamentals, a few of my Wax Fundamentals family, and we are providing some vibes and some music for a very important situation. I want to shout out Red of redbuttons.com and Mr. Quay, because they're doing a sleeping bag drive-by.
Nice.
On Saturday, December 11th. It's going on from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it's right there on Peter Street in downtown. You know, Peter Street is like the Black Rodeo Drive. You know,
right.
If you're young and black, you're hanging out on Peter Street, well, come by and pick up a sleeping bag. Yeah. I looked up how much the sleeping bag costs. They range in price from like $10 to $30 for a really nice one. These sleeping bags are going to be donated, of course, to the homeless or people experiencing homelessness. And let me just say this. my 9 to 5, I work at a drop-in center for youth experiencing homelessness. And I can tell you that if you are blessed to have a roof over your head and have somewhere to lay your head at night and get your immediate, your basic needs met, including restorative sleep, because I don't think people understand how important being able to sleep is to your body and how you function in the world. If you're not able to do that, then you become one of the people that we see, and we are, what's wrong with them? Why they hang? Why, they're not only are they hanging out on the street, but their behavior is erratic. A lot of times it's because they haven't had a good night's rest, and so and it's the temperatures dropped, and even when the temperature is normal outside and it's not cold, people need, sometimes they don't always have somewhere to sleep. And if they're sleeping outside, we just want to be sure that at least they have the option of being comfortable.
Yes.
And a sleeping bag can can provide a little bit of comfort to somebody experiencing homelessness in this day and age. So swing by Walmart, your favorite store, wherever, pick up a sleeping bag. You don't even have to get out your car. You just drive by. You can come inside and listen to the music if you want to. But, drop off a sleeping bag. It's the holidays, and I know people like to give back at this time of year. And this is something really simple that they can do. You can also make donations. What you guys can do is you can come to my IG and the information for how you can make donations or come by and drop off will be there. But yes, the Wax Fundamentals crew, myself, Bruce Phillips, and the Queen Peppermint Gaddy, we're going to be spinning some vinyl out there, providing music for the people that are coming by, that are working the drive-by, volunteering their time. So just come on out. We're going to have it a nice time, provide a nice vibe, and it's something to do on Saturday if you're here in the city.
Nice. We did post the link to the post on the Wax Fundamentals page, so that's super dope. And this is such a good idea, and it's such a good cause. So thank you, Wax Fundamentals. Thanks, Sir Daniel. Thank you to Peppermint Gaddy, and thank you to Bruce Phillips. All three of them is about to get the vibe right. So you should just go with something. Go head down there with your sleeping bag and support the folks and jam out a little bit, because it's going to be great. So
it's going to be great. It's at the Peter Street Station. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, Peter Street Station. Yeah.
Peter Street Station. So yes, it is someplace
great venue.
That people can come and vibe at, but bring those sleeping bags.
Bring your sleeping bags. I'm going to shout out something that Carlton said over on Facebook. And you know what, Carlton, from your keyboard to God's ears, and Carlton said, I'm praying for a live in-person Q Points Lounge edition in 2022. Amen.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming. We coming.
I'm saying that right now. It's coming. J Ray will be here, and I'll be there. We're gonna make this happen.
It's gonna go off.
We're gonna go out to LA to our brother Daryl over in LA. We're gonna be all over the place. Watch, things are happening. Things are bubbling behind the scenes. But listen, what do I always say? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you could let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
I'm J Ray, y'all. Peace.
This has been Q Points. We love you. Thank you for watching.